I always thought the first weird thing that happened to me was the envelope on my porch when I was 19. Plain white. No return address. My name across the front in stiff block letters. Inside was a stack of photo prints. Real lab prints. Glossy. Not phone screenshots. Every single one was a picture of me on my bike. Same black Dyna. Same torn denim vest. Same sticker on the back of my helmet. Just different roads. One shot was from a bridge, looking down as I crossed the river. Another caught me at a gas station, leaning on the pump while I swiped my card. One was from a hotel window. My bike under the awning. Me stretching my back. Helmet in my hand. None of them were selfies. I rode alone back then. No group rides. No buddies taking rolling shots. I never asked anyone to take these. I did not recognize the angles. I did not recognize the eye behind the lens. Someone had been following me at distance, framing me like wildlife they did not want to spook. I flipped through them 3 or 4 times, trying to catch a reflection in a window, or a shadow on the ground, or any hint of whoever was behind the camera. Nothing. Just me, the bike, and scenery. On the back of the last picture, someone had written in neat blue ink, "You take the same roads." I laughed. Because that is what you do when something gets too close. Cute, I told myself. Some artsy neighbor with a long lens and too much free time. Somebody at the shop messing with me. I tossed the stack in a drawer. I told myself I would figure it out later. Then I went back to life. But that was not actually the first weird thing that ever happened to me. I only realized that years later, going through my Mama's stuff after she died. She documented everything. Cheap little cameras. 1-hour photo labs. Shoeboxes full of prints. Birthdays. First days of school. Trips to the park. I grew up with a flash in my eyes. When I started clearing out her house, I found the boxes again. Each one was labeled in her handwriting. 3rd grade. Christmas '01. Summer at the lake. Then there was one box with no label. The pictures in that box felt wrong immediately. Most were of me, yes. But they were not like my Mama's close, smiling shots. These were from far away. Behind crowds. Across parking lots. Through bus windows. Sometimes I was small in the corner, the only kid in a red jacket. Sometimes I was centered and sharp, but the angle was odd, like the person holding the camera was hiding behind something. In one photo I am 8 years old, climbing onto my cousin's tiny dirt bike at a family barbecue. I remember that day. My Mama's photos from it were in a different box. Me grinning by the grill. Cake on my face. Cousins crowded around. In this unlabeled box, though, you see me through the backyard fence. Shot between the slats. Me swinging my leg over the little bike. No family. No faces. Just me and the machine. Another shot has me around 11 or 12. I am standing on a sidewalk outside a strip mall, staring into the window of a motorcycle dealership. Hands in my hoodie. Backpack hanging off one shoulder. The picture is taken from across the lot, behind a row of parked cars. Like whoever took it did not want me to know they were there. In the background you can see the lined up bikes behind the glass. I do not remember anyone photographing that moment. I only remember wanting one of those bikes so badly my chest hurt. I kept going. Me on a BMX, bombing down a neighborhood hill. Me on the back of a friend's gold wing, caught in the side mirror. Me walking past a pawn shop with a ripped Harley banner half hanging in the window. Always a bike, or something bike adjacent, in the frame. Always from a spot that gave them a clear view and me no clue. What bothered me most was the photos themselves. Different paper. Different gloss. Different timestamp font. My Mama's cameras all left the same little print signature. These did not match. I called my aunt. I asked if she ever went crazy with a camera around me. She said no. My uncle liked disposables, but he dumped everything on my mom. It all wound up in her labeled boxes. This one was new to her. So who had been keeping their own secret scrapbook of my life, from behind glass and fences? That question was rattling around my head when I opened the drawer again and pulled out the envelope from when I was 19. I laid those mystery kid photos next to the bike shots. Different years. Different cameras. Same distance. Same hiding angles. Whoever was watching me on 2 wheels had been watching me long before I could ride anything bigger than a bicycle. The second envelope showed up a week later. Same plain white. Same block letters. This time there were only 6 photos. And these were not of me. They were of bikes. My bikes. A chopped XS 650 I owned when I was broke and thought I wanted to be a builder. A ratty Virago from the summer everything in my life felt temporary. A red Ninja 250 I bought off a college kid so I could learn twisties without chewing up tires on my main ride. Each picture caught one of those bikes parked somewhere I recognized. Behind an apartment I moved out of years before. Next to the dumpster behind a shop I used to work at. Outside a diner that had long since changed owners. Every shot was taken from across the street, or through a window, or over the top of another vehicle. Always a little too far away. Like the photographer was allergic to being obvious. There were no people in the photos at all. Not me. Not strangers. Just my bikes, frozen at rest in the middle of my old life. On the back of the last one, my Dyna again, parked outside a liquor store near my current place, someone had written. You do not see who is there first. I did not sleep much that night. You start running through possibilities. An ex. A relative. A psycho from work. A neighbor. Some fan of the bike itself. But the part that would not leave me alone was the timeline. These were not all recent. Some were from places I had not lived in for years. Whoever did this had been taking pictures for a long time. Holding on to them. Then they decided it was time I saw them. There is only so much you can do when you are being watched and you do not know who is watching. I checked outside my building. No obvious creeps sitting in cars. No hidden cameras in trees. I casually asked the mail carrier if he saw anyone dropping off hand-delivered envelopes. He shrugged. He said everything in my box came through his truck. I talked myself in circles, trying to convince myself this was romantic, or at least playful. Some secret admirer doing a weird art project love letter. But nothing about the way those pictures were framed said love. They said pattern. And when I get stressed, I ride. When you ride the same area for long enough, you build a private map. A gas station with the good coffee. A station where no one talks to you. A station with the nice cashier who actually smiles. A scenic pull-off that never has tourists. A tree you always pass just before a blind curve. I took the envelope photos and started matching them to places. The gas station. The motel. The liquor store. The bridge. I marked them on a paper map, drawing little circles. Pretty quickly I saw it. A loop around my town. Around me. I grabbed the shoebox of childhood photos again and did the same. Backyard fence. Strip mall sidewalk. Middle school parking lot, where a T-Era S Sportster sat crooked at the curb every morning, helmet hooked over the bar. Different years. Same orbit. Somebody had been tracing my route through life from just outside my line of sight. At the bottom of that kid box was a crumpled square of lined notebook paper, stuck to the cardboard. Same careful, slightly old-fashioned handwriting as the messages on the backs of the prints. It said, "When you ride, I know you are safe. You always come back to the road." There are only 2 groups of people who talk like that. Parents. And stalkers. My parents did not own that handwriting. After that, I started noticing a bike. Not mine. A silver touring rig. Maybe a road glide, or something in that shape. Hard to tell at speed. The first time I saw it was in my mirror leaving town. Hanging back a few car lengths in the dusk. Auxiliary lights like far apart eyes. Nothing special. A lot of riders have silver baggers. Second time was at a rest stop a couple hours away. I pulled in. I swung off my bike. And there it was at the far end of the lot, parked nose out toward the highway. No rider. Helmet gone. Just the bike, engine ticking as it cooled. Third time was in another state entirely. Days later. At a motel. Same silhouette. Same lights. Same color. Parked under a sodium lamp. When I walked over to take a look, I saw a clear protective film on the tank. The kind you put on to protect paint from zippers and belt buckles. The film was scuffed in a pattern that made my skin crawl. An oval, right where something would hang and bounce against the tank. Like a camera on a strap. By the time I came back from the vending machine with a soda, the silver bike was gone. I did not hear it leave. The night everything finally came to a head, I was out way too late on back roads I knew too well. It was one of those rides where the world shrinks to your headlight and the strip of asphalt in front of you. No traffic. No porch lights. No open gas stations. Just me, the engine, and the little thoughts that only show up after midnight. I ended up at an old scenic pull-off I have been visiting since high school. Half-collapsed guardrail. View over a dark valley. A handful of old beer cans down the slope. It is where I went the day I got my license. The day I bought my first bike. The day my mom called from the hospital with the word oncologist in her mouth like a foreign object. When things happen, I seem to go there without deciding to. I shut the bike off. I took my helmet off. I stood there listening to the pinging metal and the bugs. For the first time in a long time, I let myself fully admit what I had been feeling. This was not random. Someone knew my loops. They knew my habits. They had been practicing on me since I was a kid. The air felt wrong. Too still. It was not a sound that tipped me off, though. It was light. I caught it in the chrome of my mirror. A tiny pulse. Like a phone screen flashing on and off just once. It came from behind me, out in the dark of the little gravel lot. Not bright like a flash photo. Just a test. A half press of a shutter button. Enough to check a setting. My body moved before my brain did. I dropped down beside the bike. Helmet in my hand like a makeshift weapon. My heart sounded like the motor had migrated into my chest. I turned, squinting into the dark. "Hey," I shouted. Because I am not creative under pressure. "Who is there?" The only answer was the soft tick of cooling metal and the hum of insects. Then I heard gravel shift. Not close. Retreating. Whoever it was, they were already backing away. By the time I dragged out my phone and hit the flashlight, the lot was empty. No silver bike. No car. Just my Dyna and the guardrail and the valley. And an envelope leaning against my front tire. Same white. Same handwriting. My hands were shaking so badly I tore it getting it open. There were 3 photos inside. The first was of my bike at that exact overlook, in better light. Golden hour, maybe. From some earlier day I barely remembered. Same angle I would have chosen if I wanted a cool bike picture for social media. You could see the valley behind it. Sky going orange. The second was of me standing where I often stand there, by the rail. Helmet off. Looking out over the drop. The shot was framed so the edge of my Bikea's mirror sliced right through my face, turning me into a split reflection. I did not remember anyone being there that day. It could have been last week, or last month. I was wearing the same jacket I had on now. The third photo looked blank at first. Just darkness with a blurry gray shape near the bottom. When I angled it toward the moonlight, I realized it was a night shot taken from inside a car. Windshield. Faint outline of a dashboard. And way out there on the road, tiny in the distance, my headlight burning a little circle in the dark. The glare off the glass turned it into a star. On the back, in that same careful ink, it said, "When you stop, I have to leave. I like you better in motion. I will not let you crash." My stomach dropped straight through me. The words were bad enough. But what sickened me was the logistics. These prints were real. Not instant. There was no way someone took them, printed them, and got them into that envelope in the short time between me shutting the motor off and walking back to the tire. They had been carrying these with them. Waiting. Driving around with a sealed envelope full of my life, waiting for a moment that felt right. They knew I would end up there, on that overlook, because I always end up there. After that night, everything just stopped. No more envelopes. No more silver bike in random parking lots. No more flashes in chrome. I changed my habits anyway. Different routes. Different gas stops. Different days. I even sold the Dyna for a while and rode borrowed bikes, just to feel like I was shaking someone off. If something was following me, it either lost interest, or it got better at hiding. You would think that would be a relief. It is not. It leaves me with questions I cannot sit still with. What if they were not trying to hurt me? What if this was not about me as a person at all? What if it was about me as a moving object in their favorite landscape? The kid staring at the dirt bike through the fence. The teenager at the dealership window. The young guy on the Dyna under the hotel awning. Each one a note and a long study of riders and roads. What if they genuinely believed they were keeping me safe? Tracking me like a guardian angel with a camera and a tank bag full of film. And if they spent my whole life building that collection, what were they saving a face-to-face for? That is why I am telling you this. Not because I think you have your own personal archivist. Not because I think every rider is secretly being catalogued. Just this. Next time you are at the pump on some lonely highway, or leaned on your bike outside a diner, or pulled off at your secret spot you swear no one else knows, take a second and look past your reflection in the glass. Notice the car that has been at the far pump every stop. Notice the person who never seems to finish their coffee. Notice the SUV parked up on the hill above the rest area, with the windshield pointed at the road. If you ever start finding photos of yourself in your mailbox, tucked under your wiper blade, or slipped into the elastic on your tank bag, do not automatically assume it is a fan or a prank. And if one night you shut your engine off, see a little ghost of light in your chrome where there should not be any, and spot an envelope propped against your front tire when nobody is around, ask yourself what kind of person spends your entire life learning your routes. And what exactly they are waiting for when they finally decide to step out from behind the camera.